Hi everyone, we're live with Sisters Google Summer of Code 2016 demo from our student who's going to be demoing the automated testing for our volunteer management system. So Vatsala, I'll pass it on to you.
Yeah, thank you, Rose. Hello, everybody. My name is Vatsala Swaroop. I worked under Sisters organization for GSoC 2016 this year, and this demo is a basic overview of the work I have completed over the summer. To begin with, one of the first tasks that I worked on was Travis integration for VMS. Now, before this project, most of the tests were housed in a different repository, which is basically the Sisters Automated Testing repository. Since the tests were in a separate repository and VMS was in a state of constant development, so a lot of these changes had gone out to date and a lot of these tests had been broken. So one of my first tasks was to actually update all of these tests and add them to the VMS repository. Simultaneously, I configured continuous integration with Travis for the VMS repository, and I can show you uh, the live build. So this is actually the VMS Travis builds, which we are seeing right now. And basically for each and every pull request, right now they are being evaluated against the Travis. It runs around 168 tests on these pull requests, and then accordingly, like, we review the code. Okay. So next up, my second task was to increase the coverage for all the tests. Uh, Last year for VMS, we had unit tests and functional tests written, but they were missing a lot of situations which were unchecked. And plus, since VMS was being developed over the past 1 year, there were a lot of new features which were added. So these Selenium functional tests and these unit tests are basically, they check those features. Now the tests have been covering three major regions. One of them are for new features. Say for the previous year, we have added new functionalities such as if you suppose edit a job, earlier on it would just check if those jobs were within the event dates. But right now what happens is that it even checks if the corresponding shifts which are within the job are not violated while you're editing the job date. So there were many such new features for which the tests were being written. I can give you the exact number of the tests which were written. Just a second. Okay, yeah. So I've added 45 new Selenium tests, 22 unit tests, and earlier on we had no database checking for any of the tests in VMS. So I've added database checks to around 64 tests right now. And yeah, as a result of adding all these new tests, the coverage has been increased to up to 83% for VMS.
I think now it's 90%.
Actually, it shouldn't be 90%. That is actually because the number of lines of code have increased. So effectively, it should still be 83%, but because I added the last application, which had a lot of lines of code, so it's taking out basically on the entire total. So that's how the percentage has increased.
Okay.
That is amazing. Great job on that. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So, like, what happened during the course of this project was that there were a lot of features which I had proposed during the initial proposal, and they were mainly focused on Travis integration and increasing coverage through these new tests. But as and when I began working on the project, I realized that there were many other issues which needed attention. Now, one of those issues was the fact that the tests were taking a lot of time to execute on the local machine. For me, it took around 1 hour 15 minutes to run all the tests on my local machine, which is actually quite a lot of time. So what I did first was I went in for reduction in time and duplication for both unit tests and functional tests. For duplication, the approach was same for both. It basically involved identifying reusable bits of code and separating them into functions which could be reused. For time, the approach was slightly different because for Selenium tests, we are using the internal Django tool right now, which is live server test case, which creates and destroys objects on its own. So I could not adopt the same approach for Selenium tests, but effectively at the end of the day, I could reduce the browser opening time for the Selenium tests. So that is how I achieved the change in timings. Okay. All right. So this is basically the variation in time and duplication that we have achieved over the period. For Selenium and unit tests both, for Selenium the time reduced by around 41% and duplication around 30%. For unit tests the time reduced around 50%, duplication at another 50%, and database objects reduced to a huge extent for unit tests, basically because I could realize that there were a lot of objects which could be shared between the unit tests. Like for each unit test, you do not need to create and delete each and every object available. So, yeah. Okay. The build timings, I have a record of the build timings right now. Just before this change, just before I proposed the change, the build timing was around 17 minutes. And after the change was proposed, the build timing fell down to around 9 minutes 3 seconds for the same number of tests. Okay, the next feature that I went forward to implement, and this actually took up a lot of time. This took up, I think, nearly 1 month of my entire GSoC summer. And although this was not present in my initial proposal, but I really felt that it was necessary for us to adopt this design pattern right now rather than later. What I realized was when I had initially begun updating the tests as per the recent VMS code, I realized that nearly all the tests had failed. There were 76 tests at that point of time, and nearly all of it had failed. And I realized in the process of fixing it that those changes were actually pretty small. I can show you. Yeah. Okay. So for the previous tests which we had available, a lot of these values were hard-coded within the test itself. So what would happen is that if there were any changes in the UI, the entire test system was very brittle. Say suppose if I change the event name from the first column to another column, I would have to make these changes in each and every test. So this was basically taking up a lot of time. Even for changes in URL, the changes that we had to make in tests were actually quite a lot. So instead of sticking to the current design, I decided that we would migrate the entire architecture to page object model. What happens here basically is all the pages in VMS are divided into objects which have behavior and data properties, and the tests then call these properties. So for the new tests, you can see the difference between the old and new over here. So you have a lot of hard-coded values over here in your test. All right, and for the new test, like these are basic functions which are being called. We have a page which has been defined, and we call these functions which are the behaviors of that page. So if any change has to be made, you go to the page itself and make a single change in the function rather than doing it in each and every test. What this does is it makes the entire design much more maintainable and scalable. And it reduces a lot of cumbersome procedures involved as and when the UI changes. Okay, all right. So this is the last part of my task done for VMS this year. Since I was working on the testing part of VMS, as and when I was progressing with the test scripts, I discovered many new bugs, which I simultaneously reported in VMS. Yeah, you can see some of these bugs right over here. And along with this, another thing that we did want to set up was integration with Browser Stack. What Browser Stack basically does is it will run the tests on different operating systems as well as different browsers. So basically then each and every proposed change to VMS or whatever code still exists in VMS, we can check for it that okay, it's compatible with different systems and with different browsers. So I did a basic setup for this for Browser Stack on my local machine. There are two steps involved in Browser Stack setup. So I could complete the local testing setup for my machine, and I can show you a small demo of it right now. Are you able to see my virtual box?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Okay. So this is basically the entire procedure involved in Browser Stack. First and foremost, you need to download a binary and start it up. So this is the first procedure. I've started up the binary right over here. And later on, you need to just execute your tests. So I'm running a sample test right now. Okay, so as you can see, can you see my Browser Stack screen right now?
No, we can't.
No.
You cannot?
No.
One second. Are you still seeing the virtual box?
No, we're not.
Okay, you're not able to see anything.
No.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, just a second. Okay, now are you able to see my...
Yes, we can see it. Yes, we see it now.
Okay, can you see like there's Browser Stack? It's a Browser Stack web page which I've
Yes.
opened.
Yes.
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 So
Yes.
it's linked to my account, and as you can see over here, where I am pointing to my cursor right now. So this just shows that a test had been started 1 minute ago. So right now this is synced with my account. Later on this has to be passed, the entire control has to be passed on to a sister's account. Another thing is that this local setup has been done for browser stack. However, what would be desirable is that it should be integrated with Travis on VMS itself. So that is one of the tasks which like I did a basic setup, and that has to be taken up next. Okay. All right, okay, that's it. Thank you, everyone. And I'll hand it over to you for any questions you might have.
Thank you, Vatsala. That was amazing, and did a lot of work, cleanup work, and getting everything aligned. That's really important for people who want to jump on or contribute later on so that they can actually follow along. How challenging was the implementation to integrate the Travis for your test cases?
Okay, so for Travis, I actually had very little idea about what Travis was before this
Mhm.
project.
Oh,
So
good.
I yeah, so I am actually from a non-computer science background. So
Hmm.
I did not have a lot of experience in software development, and
Wow.
so continuous integration was something new for me. So when I heard about it, I went up and read about Jenkins and Travis. And for Travis, it seemed a bit more user friendly to me, like
Hmm.
the script and everything, and it was definitely recommended for open source projects which were already hosted on GitHub.
Hmm.
So I went in for Travis, and yeah, I think I struggled for an entire week with Travis itself. Although there were like very few lines in the script, but
Yeah.
to get it up and running, I had to continuously debug. Like I used to push a change and then check if okay my tests are running right now. What error is it reporting? Then I would search for the same error, and then it was a continuous process because I had no experience before. So my only help was that I needed to search each and every error online and figure it out.
Well, you did an amazing job. That was amazing for someone who doesn't have any development background. So hats off to you. Kudos. Great job. Um,
Thank you.
Tapaswini, how was your experience in all of this?
Vatsala was very good with what all she did. I was very excited to merge that Travis CIPR and the one that changed, reduced the test time from 15 minutes something to 9 minutes. I still
Hmm.
remember when she submitted that PR that reduced the time. I was waiting on that Travis build that, to see the time and how much it has reduced, and I updated that time on the PR and immediately merged it. It
Wow, that's
yeah.
amazing.
And it
That's
was actually quite funny because I was updating the comments for that PR, like I was adding a description, and on top I suddenly see that okay it was open and it just gets merged. Like I just saw the timing and she merged it instantly.
Come on, you reduced half, reduced to it. I mean,
Yeah.
it was half. Yeah, so it was
it's
very good.
it's the little things that make us excited, right,
Yes,
Tapaswini?
yes, yes.
But it really is truly so important when this is automated testing. The testing piece is so left out of the conversation of development, and
Yeah.
this is really very critical. No one puts their product out. At least I hope no one puts their product out, without some incredible involved testing. So great job, Vasala. And I want to commend you and congratulate you on your. Is this your first Google Summer of Code?
Yeah. And
Awesome.
it might even be my last because I've graduated this year, so.
Well, come back as a mentor. Come back as a
Yes,
Yeah,
mentor.
I
yes.
Absolutely.
have definitely. I look forward to being involved with the project in future.
I've I've already assigned some work to her.
Okay, good. So you're gonna still work on this, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you both, Tapaswini and Vatsala. You both did an amazing job. I'm so impressed by this is your first development and you're not a computer science major, so that's a great thing. But congratulations and thank you so much for the work.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay.